When comedy becomes prophecy. Imagine this. A cartoon that started in 1989 becomes one of the most accurate sources of information about humanity's future. Sounds like a conspiracy theory, but the facts speak for themselves. The Simpsons predicted Donald Trump becoming president 16 years before it actually happened. They showed Lady Gaga performing the national anthem at the Super Bowl long before her actual performance. They told us about smartwatches, video calls, VR headsets, and even the FIFA corruption scandal. But the scariest part is that their predictions for 2026 align with current world events with chilling accuracy. 2026 isn't just another year on the calendar. It's a pivotal moment when several catastrophic trends converge into one critical point. And the creators of The Simpsons seem to have known this. Let's figure out exactly what this cult classic animated series predicted for 2026 and how closely these forecasts match reality. Part 1. The Rise of Machines. A takes everything. The Them Robot episode prophecy become reality. In 2012, Season 23, Episode 17 aired, titled Them Robot. On the surface, it was a standard comedy. Mr. Burns, owner of the nuclear power plant, decides to replace all workers with robots to save money. The result? Unemployed workers lose their livelihood. Chaos ensues, and then the robots rebel against their creators. It was a joke. Just a funny storyline for a cartoon. But here's what happened in reality 14 years later. In January 2026, Geoffrey Hinton, a scientist known as the godfather of artificial intelligence, who won the Nobel Prize for his AI work, gave an interview to CNN. His words sounded like a direct continuation of The Simpsons plot. I think we'll see even better AI. It's already extremely good. We'll see it gain the ability to replace many jobs. It can already replace call center workers, but it will be able to replace many other professions. Hinton added a chilling detail. AI develops exponentially. Every 7 months, its capabilities double. If a year ago, AI could write code in a minute, now it can execute entire projects that would take a human an hour. The scale of catastrophe. Research shows this is no exaggeration. According to leading economists' forecasts, by 2030, 12–14% of workers will need retraining for new professions. 2/3 of all jobs will be affected by partial automation. 40% of workers will require significant upskilling. Finance, law, and insurance sectors will face the greatest transformation. But here's what's interesting. Only 26% of companies expect job growth due to AI, while half of companies anticipate job losses. This creates a clear divide between those who can adapt and those who will be left behind. Who will still work? Simultaneously, 67% of CEOs stated they expect increased hiring for entry-level positions in 2026. But this doesn't spell hope. It means these roles will either be heavily automated with minimum pay or require skills most workers don't have. 58% of CEOs also plan to expand senior management. The picture is clear. Labor market stratification is occurring. At the top are those managing machines. At the bottom are those not yet replaced, working for minimum wage. The middle class is disappearing. This is an exact reflection of what the Simpsons episode showed. Homer stays employed because Mr. Burns finds him useful, but everyone else loses everything. Part 2. A new era of money dollar collapse and digital currencies. From The Simpsons to reality. In the episode Bart to the Future, Season 11, Episode 15, 2000, a future America is shown where President Trump left the country with serious financial problems. When Lisa becomes president, she's forced to say, "As you know, we inherited a serious budget crisis from President Trump. How bad is it?" Milhouse's answer, We're broke. In 2026, this joke stopped being funny. America's real financial situation. As of January 2026, U.S. national debt has reached new record highs. J.P. Morgan calculated a 35% probability of recession in 2026. Economists are predicting sluggish growth and instability. Inflation remains above Federal Reserve targets. Budget deficits continue to grow. The rise of digital currencies. But the most interesting trend isn't the dollar's collapse, it's circumvention. In January 2026, India's central bank proposed linking the digital currencies of BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. This historic proposal means that for the first time in modern history, major economies are planning to create a parallel financial system independent from the dollar. India's e-rupee digital currency already has 7 million retail users. China is actively rolling out its digital yuan. Brazil, Russia, and South Africa are developing their own CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. This isn't a Simpsons invention, but it's exactly the kind of monetary system change economists are predicting for 2026. What does this mean? For ordinary people, it means possibility of government confiscation of funds through digital wallets, increased control over financial transactions, collapse of traditional banking if mismanaged, new opportunities for those who adapt. The Simpsons showed this through a simple lens. Society divides, old rules stop working, and a new hierarchy of power emerges. Part 3. Space is near Mars awaits. Homer goes to space, no longer science fiction. In one episode, The Simpsons showed the family traveling to space, presenting it as a realistically achievable journey in the relatively near future. At the time, this was considered pure fantasy. 2026 is the year when fantasy becomes reality. Artemis II returned to the moon. NASA reached a critical milestone in January 2026. The Artemis II SLS, Space Launch System, rocket with the Orion spacecraft, reached launch pad 39 of the final steps before a crewed lunar mission launch. This means that after 50-plus years of absence, humans will return to the moon. For the first time since 1972, astronauts will set foot on the lunar surface. SpaceX and Mars. The era of colonization begins. But the most ambitious undertaking is SpaceX's plan. In October-December 2026, a launch window opens for Mars. SpaceX plans to send the first uncrewed Starship vessels to the Red Planet. According to Elon Musk's plan, 2026. Send 5 uncrewed Starships for landing tests and base preparation. 2028-2029, about 20 missions for resource delivery. 2030-2031, 100 missions for large-scale deployment. 2033, up to 500 missions full-scale colonization. Musk originally estimated a 50% probability that SpaceX would be ready for the 2026 window. According to his more recent statements in 2025, this probability has decreased, but the company is still trying. Even if the first missions are delayed to the next window in 2028, it still means that actual colonization of another planet will happen within the lifetime of the current generation. JAXA and European missions. This isn't just an American initiative. Japan's space agency JAXA will launch the Martian Moon's E-Exploration (MMX) mission in 2026, a spacecraft to collect samples from Mars's moons Phobos and Deimos. Samples will return to Earth by 2031 and give humanity unprecedented understanding of Mars's history. Why does this matter? Space exploration in 2026 coincides with the first 3 points of catastrophe. AI is taking jobs. The The financial system is collapsing. People are massively seeking a way out. Mars colonization isn't just a scientific achievement. It's a lifeline for the elite and a chance for millions to find new meaning in life. The Simpsons understood this. They frequently showed space as salvation. Part 4. Pandemic returns flu in 2026. What's happening in reality? When The Simpsons created the Marge in Chains episode, they didn't know how accurate their pandemic prediction would be. In the episode, a virus from Asia spreads through Springfield, causing chaos and fear. 30 years later, this happened with COVID-19. But 2026 isn't COVID-19. It's H3N2 flu, and it's hitting harder than expected. Scale of the 2025-26 epidemic. According to CDC data, as of January 16, 2026, 15 million confirmed flu cases, 180, 0 hospitalizations, 400 deaths, 9 child deaths, highest flu levels in 30 years. The agency classified the 2025-26 season as moderately severe, but moderate in medical terminology means significantly worse than normal. Why is it so dangerous? Several factors converge. Vaccination is declining. People are less inclined to vaccinate after COVID-19. Vacuum misinformation about vaccines is spreading. New strain H3N2 is mutating faster than expected. Travel the holiday season, spread the virus everywhere. Pandemic fatigue. People ignore prevention measures. The peak of flu hasn't been reached yet. The CDC expects the epidemic to last several more weeks, with new cases appearing through February. The Simpsons and pandemic. Interestingly, The Simpsons not only predicted the pandemic, but also showed how society loses control. In episodes about crises, they depicted people panicking, stores being looted, events canceled, and the economy falling. 2026 is a repeat of this scenario. Part 5. Political collapse and geo-economic confrontation. Bart to the future, political prophecy. In the 2000 episode, Bart sees a future where Trump was president, leaving the country in debt. After his presidency, Lisa becomes president, but she's forced to work with a bankrupted economy. In 2026, the picture is more complex, but the essence is the same. Geo-economic confrontation as the top risk. According to the World Economic Forum, January 2026, geo-economic confrontation is the one risk in 2026. 18% of experts consider it the most likely trigger of a global crisis. It has risen 8 positions from the previous year. 68% of experts expect a multipolar or fragmented order in the next decade. 50% of respondents expect a turbulent or stormy world. Critical conflict points. Ukraine war continues, but the threat of European destabilization is growing. Taiwan-China conducts increasingly aggressive exercises. South China Sea clashes between the Philippines and China. Europe-Russia's hybrid warfare with NATO, including sabotage and cyber attacks. Middle East instability in Iran and Iraq. What this means for financial markets. When geo-economic tension rises, it means sanctions and trade wars, supply chain disruptions, rising energy prices, currency instability, mass capital flight from risky regions. This is a direct match with The Simpsons' prediction of a bankrupted America and economic collapse. The nuclear war threat. The scariest Simpsons predictions often showed nuclear apocalypse. They depicted red skies, ruins of Springfield, the end of the world. In 2026, this threat has become real. According to researchers, nuclear war between nuclear powers is a real scenario. Broken communications between NATO and Russia increase the risk of accidental conflict. China is expanding its nuclear arsenal. North Korea is testing new missiles. The Simpsons knew this. They frequently showed nuclear catastrophe as the final result of political collapse. Part 6. How do The Simpsons predict the future? Scientific analysis or magic? Many people wonder, how can this American comedy be so accurate? There are several explanations. 1. Trend extrapolation. The Simpsons creators are highly educated people with access to the best scientific and economic journals. They're not wizards. They simply take current trends and project them into the future. When computers and the internet first appeared in the 1980s, the show's writers understood this would change the world. They began inserting episodes about technology, VR, smartwatches, and artificial intelligence. This isn't prediction, it's logical analysis. 2. Broad coverage of scenarios. The Simpsons has been running for 37 years. In that time, they've created thousands of episodes with millions of different scenarios. When you create that much content, some elements will inevitably match reality. This is called post hoc precedent. People only see the match after an event occurs and assume it was predicted. 3. Cultural reflection. The Simpsons don't create events, they reflect them. When viewers see Trump in the cartoon, they see a reflection of already existing social trends. The creators showed Trump because they knew he was an influential figure. They didn't predict his presidency. They simply assumed a popular billionaire might eventually seize power. 4. Self-fulfilling prophecy. There's an interesting effect. When the Simpsons creators show something, it tends to amplify that trend. For example, in one episode, people steal grease from restaurants. It was a joke. But then, people actually started stealing grease to sell to biodiesel producers. The Simpsons didn't predict this. They created it through cultural influence. Why is 2026 so scary? 2026 is special because several factors converge. Geoeconomic confrontation reaches a critical point. AI transforms the labor market faster than society can adapt. Financial systems are unstable and ready for transition. Pandemic still affects society and diverts resources. Space exploration begins with new geopolitical dynamics. This isn't just the next year in the cycle, it's a historical breaking point. Part 7. What happens next? Scenarios for 2026. Scenario 1. Manage transition. Optimistic. In the best case, governments invest in retraining workers for the new AI era. Digital currencies are implemented smoothly without causing panic. Space missions create new opportunities and inspiration. Geoeconomic tension decreases through diplomacy. Probability 20%. Scenario 2. Chaotic adaptation. Realistic. This is the most likely scenario. Millions of people lose jobs to AI. Governments try to help, but resources are insufficient. Financial markets experience volatility but don't collapse. Flu is treated as normal disease, like COVID-19 now. Geoeconomic confrontation remains cold, without direct conflict. Social inequality rises sharply. Probability 60%. Scenario 3. Catastrophe. Pessimistic. In the worst case, recession turns into depression. Mass unemployment triggers social unrest. Dollar collapse triggers global financial crisis. Geoeconomic confrontation escalates into armed conflict. Pandemic mutates and spreads more widely. Social collapse resembles the worst Simpsons episodes. Probability 20%. What can you do? Invest in education skills that AI can't do will become most valuable. Diversify finance, held some assets in cryptocurrencies, gold, and foreign currencies. Monitor your health, it's the foundation for everything else. Build communisocial connections will be critical in a crisis. Keep learning. Adaptability is more valuable than specialization. Conclusion. The Simpsons and humanity's fate. The Simpsons don't predict the future. They reflect it, analyze it, and show us the logical consequences of current trends. What they showed us in 2000, 2012, 2014, and 2016 is happening right now, in 2026. But the most important thing is that The Simpsons never showed a final apocalypse. They showed crises that humanity overcame. They showed losses, but also new beginnings. 2026 isn't the end of the world. It's a breaking point. How you live this year, how you adapt, how you help others, that will determine which of the three scenarios you enter. The Simpsons showed us all three. The choice of which one becomes reality is ours. Be prepared. Be adaptable. Be together. Because if 2026 becomes what The Simpsons predicted, you'll need the support of those around you more than ever before.